It's even worse.
Exactly.
Then I may have a dog memory in my next life.
Or
My
maybe an
dog
insect.
memory maybe an insect.
Or maybe a bacteria. Or maybe even a plant.
Maybe a plant.
See what I mean?
13-year dog life, being loyal to a owner, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And then I move on to something else.
And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense to me, this reincarnation property. Yeah, I agree.
That's why my position of agnosticism is all debatable.
But your position, like I said, your position as an agnostic doesn't really do favors to you. Remember I spoke about death, that one day when we die and we realize that there really is an afterlife, and there really is God, and there is angels, and there are angels and hell and heaven. You see, you're taking a massive risk. Instead, what you should do as a person, normally people like to minimize the risk. You see what I mean? They don't like to maximize it. As an agnostic or even an atheist, you're maximizing the risk of the afterlife. Because
I look for outcomes in this life more than something that maybe we don't know. Nobody has ever come back from there.
So does God. God looks at outcomes. That's the reason we believe this is a test. So he's going to look at the outcomes in this life.
Actually makes me, and I don't want to make tall claims, but I call myself the biggest humanist. Okay, if I have to help you, I don't look at who you are. For me, you are a human. Yeah. I don't care whether you're Muslim.
Do you believe in ahimsa, non-violence?
Of course, but it is not an absolute.
Okay.
It's not an absolute.
So, do you believe there is such a thing as just war?
There is definitely a just war.
Okay.
Definitely.
So you're more than just a humanist. You're a realist.
I'm a realist. Yeah. See. Okay. You can call me confused.
Yeah. Not confused. Right? I wouldn't say. Because normally humanists say they believe in the no harm principle as a humanist.
No,
but you need to be realist. You need to be, because there are things in life. I believe in justice. Because wherever there is injustice, like we see in Palestine today, yes, maybe these kids will grow up to be something that Israel doesn't want to be in the future. But they are actually creating the situation such that it'll get worse. When you indiscriminately bomb someone and the whole world does nothing, to me that is the biggest injustice. Because this is collective punishment for a whole people, for a small group they call Hamas. Yes, and even that to me is an excuse. Because even before Hamas existed, they used to kill the Palestinians. In the West Bank, there is no Hamas. They still, kill them. They still expel them from their homes and so on.
Political discussions will never end.
No, I'm not about political. I'm talking about justice, my friend.
Yeah, justice.
Yes.
See, justice also, Hashim, if you really ask me, the definition of justice, the true definition of justice is very hard to come about. It has cultural nuances to it, it has religious nuances to it, it has societal, a definition of justice to somebody who has been born and brought up in West and somebody in East, it may actually differ. It might. It's very hard to find absolutism and...
No, I'm not saying absolutism. What I'm saying is that you as a humanist, doesn't matter which part of the world you live, when you see injustice happening, you will know it. Trust me, you will know it. For example, if a child is being killed, yes, in any context, deliberately killed, you and I will say that is injustice.
Absolutely.
And that whoever does that the law has to actually be implemented in that situation where the perpetrator should be punished. But you see today's world, we see wars happening. For example, the Iraq war. Yes, it happened. It happened on the basis of what? Somebody said there is weapons of mass destruction. Exactly, and turns out that it was a complete lie. So we have politicians who actually destroy a country based on lies, and nobody ever brings them to justice. In fact, they are out there openly still propagating whatever politics they want. They go to universities, get paid millions just for a lecture. So instead of being punished, they're getting rewarded.
But do you agree justice has different contexts in different societies, different environments and everything? You see, this is where...
I think there are certain nuances.
We need a big think tank, in my opinion, across the world, from all societies, all political views. We need people to really define justice. It has become... the whole world is very confused.
No. I think
everything is very confused.
If you look at law and order in every country...
noise and very confusing.
Oh, what's your name, brother? Rajiv. So in every country, there's law and order. They've got courts, right? The courts decide what is just, what is unjust, what is legal, what is illegal. But what I'm saying is that there are certain politicians who seem to be beyond even their justice system.
I agree.
which means they do things with impunity.
I agree.
They have no fear of anyone bringing them to justice. This is what I'm talking about. And this is, to me, look, you don't need nuances for that. That is as clear as day and night.
But see, the good thing is, and by the way, I'm a believer in democracy.
Yeah.
And I think democracies have enough checks and balances.
It hasn't done.
Nobody can run away with this.
It hasn't done much favor to India, democracy.
It hasn't.
So even that today.
It has its own challenges.
And by the way, it's not only India; it's all around the world.
But somehow, I guess it has this way of taking people forward. People do get left behind and all that. But
what I'm saying is that today, democracy, which used to be good at one point, yes, is by the people, of the people, and for the people. I think that principle has gone out the window.
I know.
Okay. Today, they're able to manipulate the voting systems. They're able to manipulate the voters. They're able to bribe them. They're able to. Exactly. They can hijack the entire media, and they can completely turn the votes against their opponents. Sometimes even getting rid of the opponents. Yes, like we have seen in Bangladesh recently, isn't it? For 20 years, this woman, I don't know, 15 years or 20 years, Sheikh Hasina has been like a dictator, but they called it democracy because every time they are voting, it was like completely flawed. It was completely rigged, and we see this all around the world. So even democracy, I've lost respect and I've lost the trust in this so-called democracy as well. Maybe at one point it worked, but today I think it has been hijacked by powerful and rich people who can manipulate the system to their own benefit and their own gains. And that's the reason, you see, we as Muslims, we believe that the best system, the best justice system is the one that God ordained for us. Because He's created us, He knows exactly what is good for us and what is bad for us. You see, as an agnostic, if I were to ask you, where did you take your morals from? What would you say? What is your basis for your morals?
Sure, absolutely. One is conditioning because of my parents.
Yeah. And the society?
It started with parents because everyone grows up closest to their mom.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously conditioning by parents, and then comes the society.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps expanding from there, and then you start framing your view. That's.
But do you think that is something which is acceptable? Because if the society and even the parents, if they collectively all say that we agree upon something which in your heart you feel to be bad. I'll give you one example. Today there are many, I'm not talking about your parents, I'm talking there are many parents who would have no problem with abortion. They would abort their child, yes? And the country where they're doing this obviously allows it, which means it's legal. Yes? Yeah. Which means it's legal. So you see, both parents and the society allow something. I don't know where you stand with abortion as a humanist. Are you for or against?
Yeah, so I have a pretty.
No, but you guys pray I'm coming, inshallah.
I have a pretty clear line in my head again.
So are you against or are you for?
Maybe wrong, maybe right. I don't know. But so my clear.
No, but you can't have it both ways, right? It has to be one or the other. So in what case would you?
I was coming to that.
Okay, go on.
So let's say, unfortunately, if a girl gets raped,
yes,
okay, and obviously,
you've been listening to some Islamic programs, haven't you? Because all these conditions which you're mentioning, especially about the
no, but I'm coming to the very
about the forgiveness as well. But it's very much from the Islamic perspective.
There is one cutoff point at which I feel.
Yeah, take it. I'm coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, how do you come with your camera?
Yeah, I'll bring it.
There is a cutoff point after which you fall. I mean, absolutely.
Okay, so
now,
you see in Islam,
the other situation is our girls, and you know this, who will know it better than you, right? In India or in Muslim societies, right?
Yeah.
Our girls grow up under a lot of pressure, right? Pressure of, purity and marriage and all that stuff, right? It may often happen. Girls may also go astray, just like guys.
yeah,
It can, right? So then
It takes two to tango,
then
yeah.
the woman's choice also comes into play. So again, very subjective. I don't look at it.
You're blocking the camera.
ها
You're blocking the camera.
شنو الكلام ده شنو في كلام
We are speaking in English.
Yeah.
You're blocking the camera, if you don't mind.
what's about what speak
About morality.
morality
Do you know morality? Okay, good.
I don't look at it as Hashim in black and white. It's
Brother,
very
you
hard.
should, because that's
If I start looking at black and white,
No, it's not
I
black
will
and white.
I'll use your word justice and injustice. I'll do injustice to somebody.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's black and white. I'm saying there are nuances, of course. You mentioned a very good point with regards to rape. Yes, in certain situations, our scholars allow abortion because of the circumstances and the harm it will do to the mother. Yes, other circumstances where, for example, there's a life and death situation for the mother, in that situation also they allow. So you see, we look at nuances. It's not like we are just everything is black and white. We do look at nuances. But what I'm saying is that most of the abortions, I would say more than 90%, that takes place in all countries, and I'm talking about millions of fetuses being aborted every year, yes, in many countries around the world. Majority of them is because of them, it is unwanted pregnancy.
Pleasure. I understand.
No, it's unwanted pregnancy,
Unwanted
not
or
pressure.
pleasure, yeah.
Yes. So, and whose fault is that? Is it the parents' fault, or is it the fault of the child who's being aborted?
Sorry, I didn't get you. The
Okay.
child has
During the abortion, okay, one individual dies, which is the child. That's why it's an abortion. Yes. So you abort the child, and the child dies. Was it the child's fault, or was it the parents' fault? Parents' fault, exactly. And that is where justice, we can see that this is injustice. A child who cannot even speak, a child who cannot defend itself, is being aborted mercilessly. I don't know if you've actually had the unfortunate circumstance to observe, even on a video.
I don't.
Yeah, you actually, I don't recommend anyone do that.
I would not even.
Exactly, because they many times they do it in a very barbaric way, where they limb by limb they destroy the child. Yes, because this is something which, like you said, you don't even want to hear it. It's that bad. But this is happening in reality. Millions. Yeah, exactly. So I'm talking about millions. So you see, even if the society agrees and the parents agree, I wouldn't call it just.
Agreed.
Okay? And that's the reason we go back to God Almighty, because He tells us what is justice, what is unjust. In the Quran, Allah says, if anyone who takes the one life, who kills one individual, one person, yes, without any just cause, it is as if they have killed the whole of mankind. And if you save one person, then it is as if you have saved the whole of mankind. This is in chapter 5, verse 32, Surah Al-Ma'idah. So we have a justice system, and we believe that God is the only one that we can rely upon, and who is going to be unbiased and just all the time. Because He, like I said, He's created us, so He knows us best. Yes? When I look at all the different systems, I think Islam makes sense from many angles. Yes, like I told you, in terms of the afterlife, if everything is true, then, sorry, was it Rajiv, yeah? Rajiv, after you die and everything is true with regards to God, angels, hell and heaven, would you, and I want you to think before you answer this, would you really want to take such a massive risk where you want to give away everything for an eternal damnation in hellfire? And this is not about fear. This is about you thinking logically. Because you see, when you, for example, when you are going on travel and you're packing your bags, you think before you pack as to where you're going. So this is a place where you're going which is going to be eternal.
So I'll answer it this way. You use the word if.
Yes, if.
My whole position starts with that word if.
Good.
And
Yeah.
that's where, I mean, everything is possibly you're right. Maybe you're completely wrong. Right? My position starts with that.
Okay, if I'm wrong, let's say we both die and we know one day we're going to die, is something inevitable, then neither you have taken the risk nor I have taken the risk. If nothing happens after life and there is no afterlife, that is it, that's the end. You see, we become dust or ash, yes, and that's the end of it. But you see, neither of us are going to take a risk. There's no risk involved when there's nothing happening after life. But there is a huge risk involved if there is an afterlife. So the question remains, are you willing to take such a massive risk? As an intelligent person, would you take such a risk?
I will. It's like a stock market. Okay?
Yeah.
When I invest my money, I neither take a risk or a reward without knowing what I'm doing. Okay? Without I have.
So you want to gamble it. Okay.
Stock
Even in the
market
stock
is a
market,
gamble.
I agree.
Stock market is a gamble.
Even in the stock market, okay, the investor will never take the big risk. They'll always minimize the risk. Any intelligent investor, unless they are completely, like don't care about where the money comes from because they are extremely rich, maybe they can just gamble it away. Okay, but an intelligent and a person who is knowledgeable about the stock market, you will review the companies you invest in. You review the profit margins. You see the performance over the years. So it's not a blind risk you're taking. You study and you take the risk. But in this case, what you're doing is you're taking a blind risk. I will chance it.
Yeah, and
That's not being intelligent or
but
doing
still,
research.
It's still a blind risk because I don't know if heaven and earth even exist. I mean, heaven and
Yeah, but if they don't exist, you're not taking any risk. So I'm saying what you're doing is you're putting 50% and 50% chance. 50% it exists, 50% it doesn't exist. If 50% it does not exist, you and I have no risk. Am I right?
yes, but Hashim, my whole position.
But you're
is-
ignoring the other
My
50%.
whole position is why should I venture anything, whether there is a full reward or full risk, without knowing whether something even exists? It's like, oh, put money here, the company may come about tomorrow. The company doesn't even exist, or probably the company exists
Yeah.
or may not exist. Why don't you put your money here?
Is that what you want to do?
No, I don't want to.
Exactly,
I want
that's-
to know that the company.
But that's my
exists.
point, my friend. I'm saying that because you don't know, you're not certain about the existence. So what you would do is, would you complete? It's not whether you like it or not, you're going to die. You see what I mean? It's not like the stock market, whether you invest or not. I'm saying in this case, death is something which is certain. So it's not like whether you're going to die or not. Of course you're going to die. But the risk you're taking is massive. Do you not realize that?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't think you've thought it through. Maybe
No,
you.
I've thought it through.
Yeah,
I ruminate over a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And
So why you're willing to take a massive risk then?
I don't see it as a risk. I mean, there
So
is
if there is a God, you're saying, what will you do?
If
Let's
there
say if there is a God and he summons you and you're standing in front of him and he asks you, okay, I've given you X number of years, let's say 80 years of your life. Okay, what have you done in your life? Have you obeyed or have you disobeyed my commands? Have you even researched to know whether God exists or not? And whatever signs you see, yes, like you mentioned earlier.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
researching.
Does
in
this
my
science?
life. I may have spent my lifetime
Yeah.
not finding God, or I may have found God. I don't know.
Yeah. So is there like a criteria? Earlier I asked you, but I don't think you have answered that
there is
question.
a criteria.
So how would you know you have found God?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Why didn't you read the scriptures?
One day I may
Yeah.
wake up, okay,
Yeah.
and like a lot of people say, oh, God came in my dreams and I have set out to do this now, right? Many people say this, right?
Yeah.
It might happen tomorrow morning. I don't know.
Or it might not.
Or it might not happen for my entire lifetime.
But
And
I wouldn't call that a good criteria because a criteria is where you research. You don't chance it. Looks like you seem to be chancing everything.
yeah, but
Everything doesn't happen
but
just by
I've
chance.
researched a lot. I don't
Yeah.
see anything that can convince me about God's existence.
That's why I said you need a criteria. Because you haven't set yourself a criteria and you're saying nothing will convince me. It is like, I'll give you an example. Imagine you lost your keys, yes? But when somebody asks you what does your key look like and you keep saying I don't know, will you ever find your key? Will anybody else ever find your key?
Possibly.
No, because you haven't told them what it looks like.
Okay.
So neither they nor you will be able to find it. So in order to find even your key, you need criteria. What does it look like? What the shape is? Yes, so on. So to find God, also you need criteria. For example, if all of this creation is there, which is a sign which you correctly mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, yes, and this is on Dawah Wise channel, you can watch it. So if you,
I watch, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah.
I watch all videos across all.
That's
people
very
with
good.
all different views.
Yeah.
It's
At least you are open-minded, I like that. That's very good. But what I'm saying is that if you know the criteria, for example, for us, the criteria is to judge a religion by its books. Okay, so by the scripture. Because if the scripture says something, and then you say, okay, this makes sense, then you say, okay, one of the principles in the Quran is that it is a book. If it is not from God, then certainly it'll have discrepancies in it. Now, if you read the Quran, you don't find any discrepancies, it makes sense to you, then it satisfies the criteria. But if you have a book which does have contradictions and criteria, then that criteria shows you that these contradictions prove it cannot be from God, because God doesn't make mistakes, right? So that is one criteria I can show you. Another criteria that the Quran provides it.
It's very subjective, by the way. Whatever you said is very subjective.
What? Finding contradictions. How is it
No.
subjective?
Everything you said is quite subjective because, again, it all goes back to...
Because you're able to identify criteria based on contradictions.
Based on your own conditioning.
No, it's not. It's contradictions. This is open to anyone, by the way. Doesn't matter where you're in the world. So it's not based on conditioning. You can open a book. You know, I as a Muslim, I read the Bible. I've read many of the Hindu scriptures as well. Okay? When I look at them, I certainly find contradictions. And I pointed out, okay, this is where I found the contradictions. So far, I have not seen any Muslims come to and say it might be a misunderstanding, which we have to explain to them, which you have seen on our live streams, which we have every Thursday at 5 p.m. UK time. We show them that this is not a contradiction. Many times they do come, oh, I found a contradiction in the Quran. But when we show it to them, it is actually their misunderstanding of the passage. Or they might have missed another passage which gives you more explanation about it. So this is not subjective, this is very objective criteria. You see what I mean?
It's debatable. I mean, I've watched a lot of videos, so
Yeah.
I don't get convinced by any. It's just not one.
Yeah. But like I said, look, as long as you're
and the other
open-minded,
thing is just because others may have contradiction doesn't prove that you don't.
okay, let me ask you this.
You cannot do the corollary.
No, you can. Because would you believe any book which claims to be from God and it has contradictions? Does God make mistakes? Because a contradiction is a mistake.
So
The
here
truth-
is how I'll answer
The
that.
truth should be free from
So
contradictions.
here is how I'll answer
Yeah,
the
go on.
question. It all presupposes that God exists. But
Yes.
if God exists and there are no contradictions, then it proves the existence of God.
Okay. So, like I said, since you don't have criteria to seek God, you know, for your entire life, you can't even know when you found God because you have no criteria. But you see, all this universe, you and me included, all the trees and the skies and the sun and the moons and the planets and everything, it just didn't come about. There must be a cause for this.
The only one criteria I have only seen in my life is that American story about that kid. That's the reincarnation.
Yeah.
That makes me believe there is something metaphysical. It may not be God, by the way. It may not be God. I don't know what it is.
Could be the jinn.
Could be the jinn, it could be angels.
Which is
I don't know
metaphysical
what
as well.
it is. Metaphysical.
Yes.
Something which transcends us, right?
Do you know there's
That's
something
the only
metaphysical?
thing I have seen.
Yeah, there's something metaphysical within you. Do you know that?
What is that?
Yes, you know Allah in Surah Al-Fussilat says He'll show you signs beyond the horizons, in the horizons, and within yourself. What is that within yourself? Your consciousness.
Oh, I've watched these videos, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Your consciousness, you can't look in a lab under a microscope. You can't have empirical evidence for it.
So now one of the scientists has proven that consciousness is also energy. Right? You can measure it.
What do you mean energy?
Google it.
Which science?
So, you know, when
This
a
is-
lot of theists say
Yeah.
consciousness cannot be fed, measured, kind of thing, how you are
Yeah.
describing, right? Now, one of the scientists has actually proved that consciousness comes from electrical signals in our brain.
No, that's I've looked into this. So
And it was very fascinating.
No,
Very
no.
fascinating.
Electrochemical impulses in the brain is not consciousness. That is just your neurons firing, yes, signals.
No, they are saying the opposite. They are saying
You know what consciousness-
consciousness is a result of also those electrical signals.
No, it's not. It just shows. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you know what consciousness actually means?
Just describe it.
Yeah, but if you don't know what consciousness means,
I can describe in my own way.
yeah,
but,
go
I
on,
don't
describe
know.
in your own way.
Oh, okay, so consciousness is basically if I take my bare bone body,
Yeah.
okay, and then the awareness that I get about my surroundings.
Yes.
That's how I would describe
Yeah.
it.
So there's a philosopher, Descartes, who said that I think, therefore I am. So which means if you're conscious, you'll have thoughts. You'll be able to think and so on.
It's
And
called the absolute truth, by the way.
yeah, and you will know what's in your environment. You'll perceive things. Yeah, which kind of what you mentioned. I agree. But you see, this is something no scientist. That's why it's called the hard problem of consciousness. To this day, no scientists have discovered this, but everyone believes it by faith. So what you were talking about metaphysical, consciousness is part of that. Even though they don't have evidence for it, by faith they have to believe it because without consciousness, you won't be able to have this discussion.
Totally.
They won't be able to invent anything. They won't be able to ask questions. They won't be curious. They won't be able to do anything because every single faculty of reasoning that you have and every single senses that you have, they're all linked to consciousness, without which you can't operate.
Now scientists are proving that it is a result of electrical.
No, I've looked into this, brother. I think you should look.
Into it,
Yeah.
and
By the
it's
way,
a
you
very
said.
fascinating
By the way, you said one scientist. You know, when somebody says one scientist,
I mean, one as in scientist community.
no, even the scientist community to this day, they would have got the Nobel Prize if they did that.
I think
The reason
it's
they haven't
research in motion,
done it.
Right? It's research in motion right now.
Yeah, but that means it's not proven.
I know it is not proven, but
Okay.
now eventually. Okay, I got to go.
Give me
as well,
5
but
minutes.
It was fascinating talking to you.
Yeah, no problem. So what I'm saying is that look,
they're now proving that consciousness also is a measurable, something measurable.
Rajiv,
as a result of
you
some
keep saying they're proven. If
Not
they,
proven, they're in
yeah,
the
yeah,
process.
no, if something is in a process, it's called what? It's called an opinion. Okay, it's called a
No, it
hypothesis.
is experiments.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Theoretical experiments that may result.
Because earlier you said the word proven.
No, not.
It's hypothesis. So look, hypothesis can be, there are certain scientists who say that we all came from aliens. That's a hypothesis. It means nothing.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. So until it is peer reviewed and it reaches the status from a hypothesis to a theory, then it is irrelevant to the scientist world.
I completely agree, but we are getting. I think it's.
Yeah, that's a claim.
So what happens?
It is like that
so
guy
what do
saying
you
we
think-
came from aliens.
So what do you
Oh, we are
think
getting
if
there.
They prove. Let's say one day we wake up, breaking news on TV.
Yeah.
Right. Consciousness has been proven and fully measured. What would your position be?
Okay, I will say, first and foremost, naturalistic science doesn't deal in metaphysical. Okay? You and I know consciousness is from the metaphysical realm. Naturalistic science deals with proofs and evidence and empirical evidence from our world, which they can observe.
But what if they prove?
No, but this
that
is
it is naturalistic,
this is
not metaphysical.
it is like me telling you, what if one day you discover plastic with a metal detector? It makes no sense. It is like you're using the wrong tool for something which you're calling metaphysical. You're using science as a tool,
That's what
which
I'm
has
saying. Maybe
which is
this
a wrong
was our
tool.
Human limitation.
No.
We always assign metaphysics to it, and now we are finding out it is actually not metaphysical.
No, give me one example of metaphysical thing which scientists have found. You'll never have an
telling
example.
you, let's say.
Give me an
if
example.
Consciousness
No, but this is
proven
something-
to be not metaphysical.
Rajiv, with all due respect, this is something you're saying may happen. I'm telling you, give me from the past something which is metaphysical, which naturalistic science discovered.
I don't know.
Exactly, because this is not the realm, this is not the job of scientists to look for the metaphysical. See what I mean? This is something from the philosophy of science which you can infer things, and that is what I meant. That if I were to ask you,
Scientists are not set out to disprove God or disprove metaphysics.
It's not about disproving. They cannot
have their
find the
own journey.
metaphysical.
Now they happen to find these things. They are in their own journey. Most scientists, they're so much into their own world. They're not out here to disprove or prove something.
of course, they're here to disprove and prove.
And
They
if
do it all the
uncover
time.
something,
Look,
sure, if they don't uncover, they just
let me ask you this. The scientists do prove and disprove many things. For example, when they have a hypothesis, the scientists who are doing the peer reviewing, they have to disprove what this guy said he's hypothesizing. Yes? And that is how peer review was. So they do disprove things. They also show you proof about things which are in the naturalistic world. For example, how photosynthesis works. And they can prove it to you. Yes? Very easily. So they do prove and they do disprove. What they don't do is, which is what I kept telling you right now, is to dwell in things which is beyond their scope, which is metaphysical. So they is a study of the physical world mainly. Yeah.
What if consciousness is proven to be not metaphysical?
Then they have to. No, you can't. I'll tell you why. Because, okay, you know what? If something is within your body, they have proved everything. Yeah, all the physical things. why they haven't proved metaphysical. Sorry, why they have not proved your consciousness. Why do the scientists themselves call it the hard problem of consciousness? Because they will never be able to.
There are many hard problems they are solving.
It is like me asking you, okay, can you prove to me what happened before the Big Bang? You can't, because you cannot see beyond that, my friend. You see? So these are what I would call, this is the gaps of science.
Have you seen multiverses and
No one has seen.
JWST and all?
Nobody has seen multiverses. It's a hypothesis.
No, but have you seen all these videos about JWST?
Brother, with all due respect, everything they say about multiverse is something which is beyond our universe. So this is a speculation from them that it is possible. But they haven't got any evidence for it. And that's why I'm telling you that science has a limit. They can, of course, they can, with their imagination, they can postulate many things. Like that scientist who said that we came from aliens.
It is
No, it is.
experimentation.
No.
You know,
Speculation is not something which is unscientific, but it lacks evidence. Like hypothesis, like the guy saying we came from aliens, that is his hypothesis. And they give you certain proofs. But what I'm saying is that there are certain things which are beyond the limit of science. Doesn't matter how many millions of years in the future, they will never be able to discover it. Which is what I'm telling you, that they are something which is a limit. And science knows that. And that's the reason majority of the scientists, they will never be able to tell you what happened before the Big Bang. But you see, we know that the universe, based on the scientists, based on the cosmologists, we know that the universe began to exist at one point. And anything that begins to exist must have a cause. And if I were to ask you, okay, what is that cause? Give me some possibilities. You can say, I don't know. That's fine. Okay, but that's not an answer. That is just your...
my answer is I don't know.
No, I don't know. It's not really an answer. It's more like appealing to ignorance.
No, we are uncovering things. Now,
It's impossible,
when
brother.
I start look at JWST and all that,
Yeah.
they are the scientists are really now uncovering things which has even confused them. You know, the concept of multiverse. There are some galaxies which should have been appearing farther.
No one has seen multiverse.
further away.
No one has seen multiverses. This is something which whoever told you is speaking complete and utter nonsense. It is a concept, my friend. Listen, I've told you this already and I'm repeating. It is something that they hypothesize, but it's not based on evidence. Whatever they say. Yes? The same thing with regards to many things they hypothesize, but there's no evidence for it. And that's why I'm saying, look, in order to observe something, even with the James Webb, you know, the most powerful telescope that they have today, you need light. That is the limitation they have. Where there's no, for example, there's no this, which they call it the cosmic background radiation, you know, which is the result or the residue from the Big Bang. That itself is light, in a way, and hence they're able to observe that. And that's how they had evidence that yes, the universe at one point expanded and is expanding at a very fast pace. And they inverse that. And they say that at one point, now it's expanding, at one point it might have been really minute. And then there was this really fast-paced expansion and so on. So they deduce many things from this, from their observations. And that's why they are saying they have evidence of these things, about the Big Bang and so on. But if, like I said, again, it's based on many limitations, like they need at least light to observe it. They say many things like, oh, dark matter and all that, but they can't really show you empirically the evidence for that.
But who can?
Yeah.
Who
So
can?
anyway, what I'm saying is that
Who can?
at the end of the day, look, my friend,
I'm not disagreeing with
Yeah.
anything you're saying, right? But what I'm saying is,
You have no answer.
things are unraveling. I mean, you have to give.
From the
things
top of
time.
your head to the bottom is all science.
You
choose this
there are
science.
many
You trust
things
this
that have been
science.
uncovered today, which
Yeah.
we didn't know 300 years back, 500, 700,
Yeah.
1,000, 2,000, right? We have evolved over time. Our methods of uncovering, discovering things have evolved, and we continue to evolve. I don't
it's
know.
not-
You
look-
and I will not exist 100 years, 50 years from now, 30 years.
yeah. I'm not talking about the evolution.
There are
Everything is
something- no, no, I'm
evolution.
not talking about
Everything is evolution.
I'm saying.
I'm going to wrap up in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I have to go
So
as well.
what I'm saying is,
Go
look,
back to the
all I'm
hotel
saying is that science has
Yeah,
limitations,
this is so mean.
and we
You
need
have to wrap up so quick.
we have been speaking for quite a while.
No, my friend.
Stop mocking.
You
by
are
the way.
wrong.
Anyway,
You're
look,
wrong.
Science has
religion
limits, and that's all
is
we're saying.
Fiction.
Yes?
I will say
All
everything
religion
has
are
limitation.
fiction.
Yeah.
And,
And
it is
fairy
human
I don't
tales.
listen to ignorance.
It is human nature to overcome limitations and find new things.
No, but humans have to acknowledge that there are certain limitations they cannot overcome. Yes?
Well, find out.
And the
This is
scientists
we.
know
That's
this.
what my agnostic
No.
position is.
No.
We set
The
this.
scientists know
We
this.
set this.
The scientists know this. They cannot discover things about the metaphysical because it's outside this realm. And we know
They
that.
say story abhi baki hai.
Huh?
Story abhi baki hai.
No, but this is, they know. They know certain stories are just stories. Anyway, thanks
It
for
was
your.
great meeting you.
Yeah, likewise.
You know, I'm traveling from US and I'm here for only 10 days.
Oh, is it
This is
okay?
And I just wanted to come here and just say
Yeah.
hello. And
Very nice meeting
My
you.
friend.
And hopefully we see each other again.
If you
Why don't you
don't
come on
wake
Thursday
up,
on our
you
live
never
stream one
grow.
day?
I'm
If you
heading
don't
back.
wake
No,
up,
I'm
you
going to
never grow.
Scotland tomorrow and then
Are
Friday
you?
I'm going back.
Okay, no problem. You take care, Rajif. Thank you very much. All right, Jazakallah khairan, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah give them hidayah.
I am too difficult for you, no?
No, you're too ignorant for me.
Because you're ignorant. You're ignorant.
Still have got. Is it?
You're ignorant to the fact.
Get a life, old man.
Religion-
Get a life.
Religion